welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we have another special guest. You guys seem to really like the other interview I did with Jay, and if you haven't seen that, I will put it right up here. But otherwise, we do have someone new today on the channel. If you do like this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and if you subscribe to the channel. And we're just gonna jump right on in. I will have our special guest introduce himself, and then we will get into asking some questions about his Amazon business.
So, hello, my name is Jaylen Kincaid. I'm from Los Angeles. I reside in Atlanta, Georgia. Right now, I am 22 years old, and I do Amazon FBA.
Nice. Love it. I didn't know you lived in Atlanta, actually, so that's news to me as well. Just to give you all a little bit of context, and for those of you, if this is your first video of mine that you're ever seeing, I am an Amazon seller as well. I've been selling since 2019, and I do a business model called private label, where I buy items in bulk. I put my own logo on those items and then resell on Amazon via FBA, which stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So basically what that means is that Amazon stores your inventory and then they deliver it to the customers for you. The reason that I'm taking the time to say that is Jaylen does a different business model, and you guys might be wondering, well, why are we talking about something different? The point is that I want you guys to be able to see that there's more than one way to sell successfully on Amazon, and this channel is all about learning different methods. It's not just about doing it one way and my way is the perfect and only way to make money doing this. So we're going to get a lot of insight and just a different kind of approach and perspective on Amazon FBA. So if you guys do have questions that are more specific to Jaylen's method, I won't be able to, I'll try my best to answer to the best of my knowledge, but that's not my expertise. So as we go through, y'all might see me make some faces or react because I'm learning really a lot of this as you all are learning as well. And I think it's interesting to know that even if you've done something for a long time, like me, 5 years, going on 6, doing this, I can still learn. And so I'm excited to just kind of have him here today to kind of talk about his journey and his story with Amazon. So sorry, that was kind of a long disclaimer, but I wanted you guys to kind of get a little bit of context. And if it seems like we don't know each other like that, it's because we really don't.
We don't.
The truth,
very much strangers until today.
Exactly. So just so you guys know, I did a live here on YouTube, which I don't do very often, but I will start to incorporate them more. And he was kind of someone who was participating, kind of telling us a little bit about what he does. And we just kind of connected from there and, talked about having him here on the channel to expound a little bit on what he does, because everyone seemed to be pretty interested in how you were able to, have so much success with Amazon selling. With that being said, I am going to start with my very first question, which is, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Did you go to school to learn business? Like, what is your level of experience? Because you said that you're 22. I'm sure the people want to know, like, did you just randomly pick this up?
I did go to Morehouse for a business and marketing or business and administration. Okay. I did not finish just because I didn't see really the benefits of being in debt, $200,000.
I know that's right.
So I did drop out of Morehouse. As far as selling history, I have, like we said before, I've been selling or doing e-commerce almost my whole life. Even before I knew what e-commerce was, I would buy like these bucket hats from eBay. They used to sell these floral bucket hats on eBay for about, I think it was $50 for 40 of them, something like that. I would take all of the hats and just sell them for $15 a piece, because bucket hats used to be very popular back.
I remember.
Maybe like 6-7 years ago. So I would just take all of them and just sell them for $15 a piece. And it was kind of like people didn't even know that you could buy 50 of them for $2 a piece, basically. So I just took the information that I got, I guess, because not everybody had the eBay link to go buy the 50 bucket hats for $2. So I just took the information I had and I profited off of it. And then ever since then, I have been making. Like I made these hoodies. I would make people hoodies with whatever album cover you wanted on it. And was it? I can't remember the website. I think it was Teespring or something like that.
Yeah,
It was a website like Teespring. I think it might have been Teespring, and I would charge people like $40, and the Teespring hoodie was like $25, and they would let you put whatever picture you wanted on there. So I would just take the album cover that they wanted, put it on the hoodie, put like their name on the back, and make a $20 profit. And people thought that was so cool. They thought I was at home just pressing them up when I was just on Teespring. I used to be like, yeah, you gotta wait for my dad to get some more blank shirts because we don't have any more blanks. So, but we'll get some more. I got you.
That is hilarious. And I think what you said about buying things in a large amount and people not knowing that you can even do that is such a big kind of overarching theme when it comes to e-commerce in general, because the truth of the matter is you can really buy anything for cheaper than what you're paying on a website like Amazon, or even if you're going to the store at Target, it is not costing them $20 to sell you a $20 product. You know, they're marking it up severely.
Yeah.
And honestly, you would think that in today's day and age, that would be more common knowledge. It's really not. The average person is not thinking, if I go on Amazon and I buy coffee filters for, I don't know how much coffee filters cost because, you know, I don't drink coffee.
Like $10.
$10. They're not thinking, I bet if I go on Alibaba or if I go buy them in bulk somehow, I'll be able to get them for $1 instead of 10. The average person does not have the time for that. They don't have the patience for it, and they're not going to be able to buy in a large enough amount for that to make sense for them. So it's not practical. And so I feel like people like us who kind of tap into the fact that you can dig a little bit deeper and provide it more at a consumer level than those people who want it urgently, they're not even thinking about the extra money that they're spending because it's convenient for them. So I feel like with Amazon selling, you're kind of like, I don't want to say taking advantage, but low key, you are of the fact that people want their stuff quickly. That's like the biggest benefit to selling on that platform, in my opinion. So
one thing that I say is, it's like the service that I provide maybe would be like somebody that can't necessarily get up and go shopping for themselves. So they'll pay a premium for this item that they need, or for let's say some socks or something. Like they need a t-shirt like right away. They need a t-shirt today. They can't go to the store. Like let's say they broke their leg. Physical elements aren't exempt from anybody. So I feel like that's a very good reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Because everybody can't shop themselves. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And everyone has their own reason for enjoying or utilizing e-commerce. I do think, obviously, it's just become more and more a way of life. Like, it's just, you're not even really thinking too much into it. It's just that it's what is normal, and I feel like it's going to continue to be that way. I always think about my son, who is about to be 4. He's kind of growing up. He knows what Amazon is already. Like, he'll be like, Mama, we have a package. Did Amazon bring it? Like, this is very normal for him. So if we go into the store like we did over the weekend, he was like, Mama, let's go to Toy Island. I'm like, Toy Island? What are you talking about? That's what he calls like the aisle. He says Toy Island.
The toy section.
Yeah. Like, this boy don't know nothing. He's used to everything coming from Amazon. It's just funny to think about, like, what's going to happen in the future. And when I was in college, Amazon existed, but it wasn't like a normal thing where you're like, oh, I need something, let me just go on Amazon. It was kind of more so, I would say like 2016 2018, where it became more of just like, this is something that I'm doing regularly. And that's what got me thinking about, well, if I'm buying so much on there, maybe there's a way I can like use it to make money as well. So seeing the flip side of it. But I feel like as time goes on, it's going to continue to grow because people now, if we're used to it, I'm a millennial. If I'm used to shopping on Amazon, I can only imagine my son. He's gonna want to like blink and have his stuff there in like the next hour. And who knows? Maybe that will be a thing by then. We don't know how things are gonna continue to develop over time. So yeah, that was definitely.
They're selling cars now on Amazon. You never know.
What?
Yeah, they're selling cars.
Like cars that we would know. We're like
cars, like cars.
What?
They just started doing that recently.
Oh my gosh. So Amazon is literally trying to take over the world because I don't understand a car.
Me personally, I don't know. But yeah, there's cars. You can buy cars on Amazon.
Okay, so they're really.
I think they bought. They might have bought Carvana or something like that.
Oh, that would make sense because Amazon's huge on acquisition. They're always trying to grow into different industries. Interesting, yeah, because I think it was like last year or 2 years ago where they started offering health insurance and they do the grocery stuff. It's like they want a little piece of everything and. I know you lying. Amazon vehicles is crazy. Okay, so I can say it even more with my chest now that you can get anything on Amazon because why are we selling cars? That is so interesting. And again,
like how much can I make from a car? Oh my goodness,
that's
FBA.
Nuts. That's nuts. I don't know that I would buy a private label car.
I don't think I would either.
But you know what? Everything is weird until it's not. Like, even the concept of being able to order groceries off of Amazon, that was a weird thing. But now people use Amazon Fresh all the time, and it's, kind of become a regular thing. So, I don't know. When Jax is 16 or 17.
Using it before me.
What was that?
Like you said, it would have. I said my grandmother started using Amazon Fresh before me. Cause I'm really like, I don't want nobody touching my groceries type vibe. But she doesn't care. She has her groceries delivered by Amazon almost daily.
Dang, grandma ain't playing. She said, I want my fresh produce.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think what excites me about that is just thinking of Amazon as a company, because obviously when you're having pretty much your whole business exists on a platform, you want to know that that platform is going to be around and that there's longevity. And I know that this isn't exactly related, but I think about a place like TikTok where there's all this talk about them just banning TikTok in the US. If my whole business was on TikTok, I would be sick because what are you going to do? Now you have to move on to an Amazon. And really that's the only other platform that could even be comparable. So I like that Amazon has been around for so long and continues to grow financially, but then also with the product offerings, because it makes me feel more confident that I can just sell on there and I don't have to worry that Amazon's gonna like shut down tomorrow or be banned in the next 5 years. It's just not a thing. It's too big of a company now. So I think I used to get this more during COVID. Don't know if I can say it, but that used to be a question people would ask me every day. Like, are you scared that Amazon's going to shut down? And what about the shipping issues and all of that? And I'm like, I am a small fish in a big pond. Like, there are people with so much more to lose than I do if Amazon goes belly up. It's not going to happen. It's just not. At least that's my opinion. Okay, I have more questions for you. Let me recenter my thoughts on what we would like to know. So you do have a little bit of background in e-commerce. What got you interested in Amazon selling and how did you actually get started?
So it's actually very funny. I started selling water with my uncle because I would get them discounted. I would get certain waters discounted. and my uncle would like I would get them for, I think it's $10 for 4 cases of like 32 or something like that, and he was selling them for $15 a case, which isn't bad, but they sell retail for I think like $36 a case.
Oh wow!
So I started selling on Amazon because I say that to say I started selling on Amazon because my uncle was not really losing us money, but not maximizing the profits that he could have made. And I think it was because he was selling to like friends. And so like they would try to haggle him whenever he would give them a price. So he just made the price as low as possible so they didn't try to haggle him.
Okay.
And I was getting the product. He was supposed to have all of the customers and stuff. So when I was coming back and I was asking him, like, how much did you sell it for? He was like, 15. I'm like, mind you, they go for 36 retail and I'm getting them for $10 for 4 cases. So I'm imagining my profit at something, and then I'm coming back and asking him, like, how much money did we make? He's like, $20. I'm like, okay. So I started saying to myself, like, there has to be other people that would buy the water that I'm selling for the retail price, if not a little bit more or a little bit less. So that's when I started doing product research, but it was for my own sake. So I found the water that I was selling on Amazon, and I was like, how much would Amazon take? Because Amazon, of course, was selling it for like, I think $20 more than retail.
Oh, wow. So
I was like, how much would it take? Like, how much would Amazon take from that profit? And would I make a little bit more than the $15 a case that my uncle was selling it for? Right. So I started doing research on people that already were selling that item on Amazon. And then the more research I did, the more I found out about just Amazon FBA in general. So it started for me wanting to sell the waters to somebody like a different demographic, so I didn't have to fall short on my profit margins with my uncle. And then after that, I started saying, this water is a little too heavy. Like to send out, like this is too heavy. So from there, I just wanted to do the same thing with the water, but scale down the size and scale up the price. So find whatever I could that was lighter than the water, but still sold at the same pace as the water, just to increase my profits more.
Yeah.
And that's really my whole, I really never, like, I don't mean to be boastful or anything, but from the start of my Amazon business, I had a picture in my head of what I wanted to do. And so far, I haven't not like matched up with the picture that I was receiving in my head, if that makes sense. Like I had a vision of what I wanted to do, like everything, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so far, it's all gone 1, 2, 3, 4, like giving me a little bit of extra, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's amazing. It's honestly amazing.
That's really cool to hear that you had something that was working, but you knew it could do better, and you found a place that would allow you to do that. Because I think what Amazon does better than anyone else is scale, and just how much they're able to kind of cycle products in and out. I mean, so much is getting delivered and so much is going out. Like the input and output is on a scary level. It blows my mind when I think about it sometimes, because I look at my business and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm doing 10,000 units in a month and I'm like, I would say maybe mid tier, or maybe I'm a bigger seller probably in the perspective of the average person, but because I have peers and I know people who are doing 8 figures, I mean, it's insane when I think about just my output. And then I'm like, well, I'm not the only one. There's all these other people who are moving so much product through these fulfillment centers. And I think you had a very good eye for business to be able to recognize that you could do so much more with this kind of like basic idea of, let me buy this stuff for cheaper. Yes, I can make a little bit if I mark it up this much, but if I can find an existing platform with an existing customer base, they're already kind of conditioned to pay more for the product already. It's what they're used to. And that's where you kind of benefit also off of the fact that there are other people who are selling the product. So if everyone is selling at $40, then me as the consumer, all I can say is that, well, the price is $40 because that's what I'm seeing as the average. So it kind of puts you in a position to where you can come in already at an elevated price than if you were to sell it to people that you know and you saw like, this is not going to make me rich. Like I need to find a bigger audience.
After I did that, after I found my bigger audience, which was Amazon, I then started to struggle with, which I'm sure you know, packing the items. Because I'm trying to do 1 million plus items, and I'm one person. So I can't do I just can't. I literally tried to. Like I sat down for I think like 3 days, and for 3 days I just packed items. So watched YouTube and packed items. I think that's how I found your channel.
Really?
But for 3 days straight, I just sat down and packed items, and then I was like the end of the third day, I needed about 6 days of rest. By the end of the third day, I needed like 6 days of rest. So I was like, I need employees. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this if I don't either have a logistics center packing the items for me, or I can become my own logistics center. And that's what I kind of went with, because I know a lot of people like in college and stuff. I know people that are willing to work for a little bit less, if that makes sense. It sounds kind of messed up, but people in college are willing to work less. That's a known fact. I mean, work for less, a little bit less. That, and also having cousins and family members to work for me as well. With that, I started my own logistics company. And so now everybody under the logistics company works for me under the logistics company. So that way I wouldn't have to pull money from the Amazon business pot, because as of right now, I have 3 different business money pots. It was the Amazon, the logistics, and then the wholesale, which we'll get into later. But to stay in the green on the Amazon side, I opened the logistics company so I could pay all my employees from the logistics bank account, and just kind of have all of that stuff in the same statement, so that when I do the taxes and stuff, it'll all be paid from one account. Right. It won't be anything coming from the Amazon account or anything coming from my personal bank account. But that's what I did for the logistics, because I saw that people have logistics companies, and they're just warehouses where people are packing stuff. Right. I have a garage. I have employees. I can be my own logistics company.
So with that piece, can you kind of connect the dots for us with the logistics company? How does that link in with your Amazon business? Are you doing FBA, or how are they kind of connected?
So I do FBA, and I have to have the items packaged before I send them in. And since I have the contract, I can make my own bundles of items, if that makes sense. Like, I'll have 3 items on one listing, 2 items on another listing. Like, I can mix it up to however I want to sell it. Mm-hmm. So I usually take my remaining inventory and make listings based on my remaining inventory. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have my family come package it for I copy the Amazon packaging. So I think it was 52 cents they charge for packing in a plastic bag, Mylar bag. Mm-hmm. So I pay my family or employees, whoever comes to do it for me, I pay them 52 cents per item that they bag. And then that's it.
Okay.
And that was just because I couldn't do all the items myself. So now I have employees to where I don't have to be there, and I can come to the warehouse and all of the items will be packaged. I just have to box them and then send them to Amazon. And then pretty soon I'm going to have a boxer as well. I just do the boxing myself because that's so tedious, and you have to have like the 49 pounds, the 48 pounds. I feel like I'm really the only person that understands that. So until I train somebody to do it as good as I do it, I kind of want to leave that to myself.
That makes a lot of sense. So I understand what you're saying because we had a little bit of a conversation before we started this interview.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking in the mind of everyone who's watching. So
Mm-hmm.
I, real quick, am going to explain what is differing between what Jaylen is doing and what I do. And then I'm going to have you just touch on something else more to kind of complete the thought. So when he's talking about sending things into Amazon for FBA or fulfillment by Amazon, it's the equivalent of when you're doing private label and your supplier is making the item, they're putting your logo on it, and they are packaging it up, and they're putting, your little thank you card in there and all of that stuff. They are doing the logistics. They're manufacturing, they're packing it up, and then they're sending it to Amazon. So at the point where Amazon receives your product, it needs to be in the form that the customer is going to receive it. So I know that this is a question I get very often. What if I want to put multiple items in one package? Can I just send 10 pencils and 10 erasers to Amazon, and will they just put it together and send it to the customer? No, they're not going to do that. So if you want them to be sold together, what you need to do is have it done at the level where the products are being packed. So in the case of private label, that would be with your supplier. You would tell them, hey, I want to do a bundle. Can I have one pencil, one eraser, and can you put it together in one box? And then they'll send it to Amazon in that form. So the way that Jaylen's doing it, if he's going to sell, we'll just say pencils and erasers as well. He's going to have those packed and sent to Amazon as well. The difference is Jaylen is doing something called wholesale. And wholesale is where you're selling other people's branded products, not your own branded products. So that is the biggest difference between what I do and what he does. So with that being said, I'll pass it to you so that you can explain a little bit more what is wholesale and how did you decide to get into that versus doing something like private label.
Mm-hmm. So with wholesale, like you said, bundles have to be, they don't have to be, but if you're a beginning seller that doesn't have any e-commerce history, you will probably be selling under someone else's listing, because to be able to make your own listing for brands that are already established or already made, that brands that aren't yours, basically, you have to get a contract. And it's not with every brand, but for big brands like Procter and Gamble, that's really the only one that I know because it's the only one that I sell. But big brands like that, you have to have a contract. And Amazon wants to make sure that the items are real, that they're not counterfeit items. So to make sure that they're actually from the manufacturer, they make you get a contract spending X amount of money. It changes all the time. So you might have to spend $50,000 within a year, $100,000 within 3 years. It changes all the time. But Amazon wants to make sure the items aren't counterfeit. So to do that, you get your contract, and then you turn it in like how you turn in an invoice if you buy 10 items. Some people know that you have to buy 10 items to unlock brands or ungate brands. So it's kind of like that, but at a larger scale, a very, very larger scale. So yeah, you turn in your contract like you would turn in your invoice, and basically it gets ungated to where you can create listings under that brand. Like you can put where the brand name is, you can put what's a pencil, Bic or what's another pencil? The
Ticonderoga.
Terratoga. Yeah, that one. You can put those actual brands in your listing instead of going to other people's brands that are other people's listings that are already created that have like the 5,000 bought a month. Some people have those where it's just their brand, but most of the times it's multiple sellers underneath a big brand's listing, just selling those items. So one seller might get 20 of those sales a month. Whereas if you make your own listing, you can have all of those sales, but you have to have the contract. And then also they'll give you your own barcode, or you make your own barcode. It's called ATIN or ASIN registry. So they give you your own barcode. You have to register what items you're going to put in the pack. And then they give you your own barcode and you slap that on like an Amazon barcode. And that's it.
Right.
It's just basically you have to. What I did was I really didn't even do any product research when I came up with the amounts that I wanted to make. I just kind of went off of what would make me the most amount of money. So when I break stuff down, I try to do the least amount, because you can go up from there and just drop the price based on how many more you put in the package. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So say you have like a 3-pack of t-shirts for $20. You can make a 5-pack for $25. Then you can make a 7-pack for $30. Like you can go up from your 5-pack instead of like copying somebody's or starting at 10 and then working your way down. I just feel like when you start low and then go up, it's less of you having to change your price and basically just making new levels of you being able to buy it. So like being able to buy more for a less price.
Yeah. And that's definitely a good approach too, because there's a lot of psychology behind pricing. I wish I would have saved this image that I saw. I can't remember. I was scrolling probably on Instagram, but it kind of had a graphic of movie theater popcorn. And it was, if I find it, I'll try to like put it in here somewhere. But it had the small being $2.50, the medium being $5, and then the large being $7.50. And then it had another image of the small being $2.50, the medium being like, I don't know, $3.50, and then the large being $5 or whatever. And more people think that they're getting a better deal with the second option. So even, yes, it is cheaper, but they're kind of using the way that they're staggering the prices to make you think that you're like getting a better deal than what you are. Because realistically, you're paying $5 for like 25 cents worth of popcorn. So either way, they're winning. But it's just, how can I get them to buy more? So it kind of sounds similar, and it's a good way to think about it. And it's not the same thing, but even with private label and launching new products, I always say price it on the lower end. You can always increase your price. And it's a little bit different than what you're talking about, but same concept of working your way up rather than just like going in hot, putting a really high price and then having to come down on that. It can mess with the way that you look at your profitability. Like you're much better off being conservative and then being able to just, oh wow, I can actually sell it for more than what I thought, but either way I'm still profitable regardless. So that's a good point. So just for clarity for everyone watching, you're doing wholesale where you are spending a minimum amount of money with a company. So for example, Procter & Gamble, they might say you need to spend $50,000 in 12 months in order for us to approve this contract, correct?
Yes.
So,
and then you were saying before, I would put what product you want to sell in the contract letter, because the contract isn't necessarily a contract. It's just a letter that you write to the company asking for their permission to sell on Amazon. Right. So I would very clearly put whatever you were planning to sell on Amazon in the letter, because like you said before, Amazon can just take you down, like, or anybody, the company can just take you down. Because I'm pretty sure the same person that reviews the contracts isn't the same person that's taking down the listings on Amazon.
Okay, so after that is done and you've received permission from the manufacturer of the product, then you can start selling their products with your own listing. But whereas with private label under the brand, you would make up your own brand name and that's what you would be selling your product under. Versus with this, you would be selling under that existing brand, but you get your own listing versus having to sell as what we call a hijacker or really a piggybacker. I mean, when it's with wholesale, it's not necessarily the same thing because those are big brands versus a private label brand. But either way, you are just selling underneath a listing that exists. But when you do it with this method that Jaylen does, you get to have your own listing. Therefore, you have a lot more control over pricing and just different aspects. And it puts you in a position to where you are able to secure a bigger piece of the pie. You're splitting it with less people, so you're going to make more because it's your listing, even though it's another brand. So I think
my buy box percentage is 92%. So for wholesale, that's really like if you do it the right way, like how I'm doing it, that's what it should be. Like your buy box percentage should not be below 90. Basically, like if you were doing private label, because you're the only person selling your item. So I'm pretty sure yours is like 100.
As it should.
But you know, Amazon has glitches and stuff. Yeah, when your buy box is 90 and over, and you're selling more than a specified, I guess like maybe I would say like 6 items for what I do. I would say 6 items. When you're the buy box winner, that'll get you a lot more sales for sure. And you don't want to really have to worry about being the winner of the buy box. Like you want to have your own list for sure.
And real quick, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about and what a buy box is, when you're shopping on Amazon, you probably don't notice it because you're just shopping. But when there are multiple sellers of a specific product, then there's going to be a percentage that is kind of assigned to the different sellers as far as how often the customer is choosing that seller on that listing. So for example, if I have a private label brand and I'm the one who actually makes the product and someone tries to sell under my listing, first of all, they're not. I'm sending them a cease and desist and they're not immediately. But if for some reason I don't notice it or they're very stubborn and whatever, I might have a buy box percentage of, let's say, 95%. What that means is that 95% of the time, the customer is choosing me. And then whoever else is there, they're splitting the other 5% or whatever. The thing is, when you have a listing on Amazon and let's say that there are 10 different sellers underneath that listing, theoretically, there are more options for the customer. So that buy box percentage is not always, but will oftentimes be lower. Even if there is a top seller, somebody has to have the buy box. Somebody has to be kind of like the default option. And if you're a customer and you don't pay attention, you're probably just going to go with whatever the default is, which is whoever has the buy box. So you want to have the buy box because you want someone who's shopping to just automatically pick yours. They would have to go out of their way to pick another seller in order for you to lose, if that makes sense. What is important about this is when you make your own listing, you have a much higher chance of having your own buy box because it is your own listing. And so that I think is a huge benefit. When you were talking before about selling underneath other people's listings, you are getting just a fraction of the sales versus getting a majority, if not all of the sales. So hopefully that makes sense for you all if you're not an Amazon seller. And even when I was first selling on Amazon, like, what's a buy box? Like, what are these people talking about? I couldn't understand the concept of it, but it's essentially whoever has the default position of the sale, essentially.
And FYI, a small fact for that as well, is the buy box can change based on the Amazon buyer account. So if you're in California and a seller, like say there's 10 sellers on the buy box, and there's a seller that's merchandise is closer to California. I think usually they do the price. The lowest price usually gets it. And then after that, I think it's the location. And then after that, I think it's the time, the amount of time you'll receive it in, which is kind of location. But that also matters with the buy box. The where your customer is. So whoever's shopping, the buy box will change. Like, say, is there somebody in California shopping? John Doe might be the buy box. If there's somebody in Idaho shopping, Sally might be the buy box. But they haven't changed anything. It's just the locations and the Amazon buyer accounts. Amazon tries to give you the most convenient shopping experience. So even they try to, it's like an algorithm. Like when TikTok picks what video you want to watch, Amazon is trying to pick which item you want to buy based off of your previous buying habits, where you are, all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that goes into it. So it is good to have at least the knowledge that, there is going to be that element of competition no matter what. So it's kind of, at least the way that I think about it, what are the things that I can actually control and how can I put myself in the best position to make the most money? And for me, I think of not having a lot of say so in the product or whether or not your offer gets taken down. Like if you were doing something like arbitrage or wholesale in the other way where you don't have the contract and you're just kind of selling until you get taken down, there's not a lot of longevity. Yeah, it's not going to be sustainable and something that you can, continuously rely on as a source of income. I think at that point it's more of a hustle than a business, if that makes sense. And that's fine for some people, but I think, one of the biggest benefits to doing this is that kind of idea that you can build it into something that kind of can live on its own. And it sounds like for you, you're putting those processes in place and making sure that there's a system that, these products are going to be packaged and kind of ready to go, because you have to be a little bit more involved in that process because you do wholesale versus, having a manufacturer in China. They're just doing it and you don't have as much of a hand in it physically.
Exactly. I was going to say that too. I think at the beginning, I'm wanting to be more hands-on just to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to. And then once I kind of get like the treadmill rolling, then I can just like step back and kind of just literally just oversee it without being there. I think my goal right now is to get to a point where I can step away for 7 days, come back, and have most of the things that I need to be done.
Right. Absolutely.
I feel like once I get there, then I'll be kind of close to where I want to be.
Yeah. It's that idea of delegating. And again, it has so much to do with having the right people. For everyone that runs their Amazon business, I feel like everyone kind of sets it up in a different way. And there are certain things that realistically only you can do, at least in the beginning stages. Of course, you can always hire a VA, hire a team, and they can, for the most part, do what you need. But I think that's a very good point. And that is what I recommend to everyone is in the beginning, you want to know how everything works. You don't want to start off right off of the bat, you're hiring people to do everything, because then you don't even know how your business works. And what happens if, those people are gone or, something happens to them. You want to, at the very least, be able to do everything in the business if you had to. But of course, your time is the most important thing. So what are the smaller or more tedious action items that you can kind of outsource? And, packaging orders, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but you do need someone who can learn and understand that it's important that they follow specific steps, which is another thing about Amazon FBA that I think we can both appreciate, is that they're the best logistics company. No shade, but I mean, Amazon, they know what they're doing. They're very accurate. They're very good at it, especially at the scale that they're doing it. So yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. It sounds like you're taking the right steps. You're not just like, I'm making a lot of money. Who can I hire and how can I be the most hands off possible? That's just it's
Yes,
a
because even
way. Yeah, some people do that, but I can't say that I recommend it.
exactly, because even with the wholesale company I have, I literally just started the wholesale company, but I want to buy from myself from the wholesale company so that I can end up paying myself more at the end of the month, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I have it in two different companies, with three, but I have the Amazon company and then the wholesale company because I don't want to get taxed more from the Amazon company. So when I make that money, I'm making it from the wholesale account, if that makes sense. So I'll buy, let's say water. I'll buy some like 4 cases of water from myself it really doesn't matter what I buy it at because I'm buying it from myself. But if I put it at a higher price, you see where that is going. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And then I sell it for exactly. So when I started doing that, I was like, that was when it clicked for me. That was when I was like, I can really like
run it up.
I can structure this until it's like, wow, like paying myself twice is what it was. I was like, I can pay myself twice and then get a house for it. That was kind of like, I was like, whoa, I definitely should do that. And then I asked about it. I asked my bank manager. I still don't have an account yet, which that's something I definitely need is an account. But I'm like you to where I'm like, I don't really trust somebody going through every single thing.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Like that might honestly end up being something that I do myself as well. Like there's certain things I feel like I have to just learn. And I don't know anything about taxes, but I feel like since they are how they are, it's just something I'm gonna have to put my head down and just learn. Like that's one of those things.
It is. So. It's important to know. It's important to know some information because you don't want to put your finances in the hands of someone who doesn't know what they're doing, or maybe their lack of understanding of how your business is run could cause them to make errors that end up costing you money. I've seen that happen a lot of times for entrepreneurs, not just in Amazon, but in a lot of different industries where, not having good tax people can really mess you up tremendously. And then I've also seen the other side of it where having someone who's really good with taxes, especially for the business that we're in, e-commerce is becoming more and more, I guess popularized, but a lot of the seasoned CPAs and accountants, they're used to more traditional forms of business. Like when you say that
I've seen that with my aunt and uncle have a accountant that have worked for them for like 5-6 years, something like that. And they tried to get her to work with me, but she doesn't know anything about it. So that was something I had to do. Yeah, I understand. She's nice, but she just doesn't understand. So that was hard too.
Yeah. It's just that they're done differently when it's online. So where in a traditional sense, if it's like a law firm, they might take out like billboards, especially here in Vegas. There's always like lawyer billboards everywhere you go. So that's a very kind of like basic, easy to understand expense. It's going to cost, I don't know, $20,000 to have the billboard up for a week or for a month or whatever. That makes sense for them. When you're running PPC, it's still a dollar amount, but it's a little bit different in the sense of like, okay, so these are advertisements, but they're online and you're not running them on a consistent basis. And how is it contributing to your sales? And I think honestly, sometimes they overcomplicate it because at the end of the day, it's still just marketing. It's still advertising, even though it's in a different form. But you do yourself a bit of a disservice if they don't understand it at all. And now they're responsible for making sure that things are written off correctly and that it makes sense to the IRS, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to be
Yeah.
audited and, have to go through that. So yeah, it can be a bit tricky in our industry, but I do have hope that as time goes on and more people start to become entrepreneurs and sell products online, the accountants and, the ones that are, I won't say our age, honey, because that are my age. As they start to become, the more seasoned and experienced
Mhm.
accountants, they'll have a better understanding, like, oh, okay, this makes sense because even my business is online in certain ways. So they'll be able to relate a bit more. Okay, I do have another question. And once again, I feel like this is
Mhm.
what the people want to know. What can you tell us about your results with Amazon FBA? Kind of what types of numbers are we seeing?
So definitely, I don't want to get anything wrong. I'm going to go look at the exact numbers.
Sounds good.
Last 12 months. Because I started in December.
December 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's past December.
And we are the beginning of April. Was it the beginning of December?
It was, my first sale was, when was this? The 23rd.
Okay, so kind of end of December. So January, February, March, about 3 months, 3.5 months now.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's April 9th, so yeah, 3.5 months.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right. In December, I sold 12 units.
Aww.
In January, I sold 248 units.
Okay.
Let me give you the product sales too.
Okay.
So December was units, so 26 units, and then $220.
Okay.
And then January, it was 248 units and $2,093.
Okay.
February, it was units sold 155 units and $1,440. And then we have March.
Wait, it's the smile from me before you said it.
March was how many units? It was 750 units and $10,684. And then for April, I'm not done. And I have, okay, that's why. Because when I was saying 50K, it was last 30 days. It wasn't in a month.
Yeah.
So April, I was trying to make, because I was even looking at like, what is that? But April, I have 40,000 USD, and then units sold, I have 1,051 units.
Golly. Okay, and it's April 9th at the time that we're filming.
That's from advertisement.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. What do you think is the difference between, I mean, you had a pretty big jump between February and March where you went from like 2K to 10K. So did you start running ads at that time?
I think that's what it was. I believe, because I didn't think the ads would help as much as they did. Literally, when I started running ads, that was the February to March jump.
And then from March to April, because it's only been a little over a week, and already in this little amount of time, it's been 40K. So did you ramp up the ads? Like what can you say about what's contributed to it?
I started playing with the numbers. I didn't really understand the ads at first, like all of
Nobody does.
Yeah, the cost per dollar, like all of that stuff. It really took me to dive into that stuff to start playing with the numbers, and that's what it was. I didn't have enough time. I've always known the ads were there, but I didn't really have enough time to learn the ads.
Right.
And I started falling short on my goals. So once I started falling short, I was like, okay, I need to do something. Like, let me start looking into those ads that I was seeing at the beginning. So, like we said, February to March, when I started running ads, I think they suggested me like $100 a day or something like that. And then also something I've learned is you have to go with the suggestions, but also go with what is like what's going to work for you personally, because they're really only going to give you a suggestion based off of how much money they want to make. Period. It's not going to really be benefiting you.
Yeah.
So you have to really get into the numbers and like the cost per dollar. I would say make that around. It depends on what you're selling.
Cost per click.
A good start.
Cost
per click. I'd say a good price is maybe like, I don't know. I don't even want to say a good price because it really depends on what you're selling.
You don't need to. I was going to say the same thing. It's going to vary so drastically from product to product. Like, even with my 6 products, there are some where my cost per click is low. Like, it's almost too easy, but then you have others that definitely, like, you're spending a bit more, so it has to make sense for your price point. Because you can make a lot in sales and then really you're spending just as much in ads and you're not profiting at all. Which is what I want to ask you as far as your ads. I know you're still playing around and figuring things out. What can you say about your profitability with the ads? Because yes, you've done 50K in sales, but how is that comparing to your profits?
So that is also, that's also part I'm very proud of. I've probably spent total not even $1,000 in ads. About $500 in ads, and then my cost total of my business. Like, this was a business I didn't want to take anything from. Like, I didn't want to take money from anything else. I just kind of wanted to start this with the money that my uncle was giving me. So from like, I'm trying to think exactly. I think it might have been like $1,300. $1,300 in water, $1,300 in cash. I think I bought like another $300 in water. The rest of that $500. Like, I haven't spent my initial $1,500 cash investment yet.
That is insane.
I haven't spent $1,500 and I've made $50,000.
Whoa. Okay.
But I also I had some inventory saved up. So half of my inventory wasn't bought. It was just already there in the storage.
Okay. Interesting. So,
but I also make $1 per 10 cents I spend.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. With just the ads, right? Not including the cost of the product?
No, the ads are my cost. Hold on. I can tell you exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like $8 per dollar I spend for ads. And then for just the product, it was, my cost of advertisement, my return on my ROAS is 8.9.
Oh, that is the stuff of dreams. That's pretty. That is pretty. Wow. Does it say your ACOS as well? Because I'm old school. That's the way that I look at profitability. But
yes, it's 11.90 or 11.22. Wait.
Chef's kiss. Yeah, I love it. That's like, oh, it's so satisfying. It's so nice to see. Wow, I'm super impressed. Just so you guys know as well, as someone who has been selling for a very, very long time, sometimes it does take a minute before you can see numbers anywhere close to that. And just for clarity, when we're talking about return on ad spend and ACOS or advertising cost of sale, that's just how much or ACOS at least, is how much of a percentage you are spending to make a sale. So it's 11%, 11.22% of whatever his selling price is what it costs him to actually get that sale. So that's very, very good, just for perspective. I know y'all probably don't know, but that's a great ACOS. And then return of ad spend is just another way of looking at it, how much you're getting back. So he's getting back almost 9 times as much as what he is spending, if that makes sense. And sorry, obviously you know this, but for everyone watching, you're probably like, what are all these acronyms? Like, what are they talking about?
Numbers, yeah. No, this is algebra.
My worst nightmare. I'm like not a math person at all, and I hated numbers till I started to make money, and I was like, all right, I can get with this.
This numbers thing, yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, so I am happy to hear that you're on such an upswing in such a, I mean, if we look at 40K in 9 days and we multiply that by 3 just to kind of round out the month, you're looking at least a 6-figure month. And this is like your 4th month doing this, which is incredible.
And I have to pinch myself like all the time. I swear I'm like in a crazy fever dream. Because when I told you, like I put a vision, I had a vision, and it was probably like 40K a month. There was no way I could see a 6-figure month.
Nuts. Let's not count our eggs before they hatch, but if things keep going the way they do, it's looking like April is going to be a beautiful month for you. And I'm really excited to just kind of see how things develop, because you're new to advertising and you already have such not tight margins, they're high margins, but you have such a tight grip on what you're doing a lot of times. And just so you guys know, what I see as average when you're first launching a product, and again, that's private label versus wholesale, so it's different business models. But normally you're looking at an ACOS of like 100% or even over. If you have an ACOS of like 50% within your first, I would say like month or so, you're doing pretty good. Like it's doesn't mean that it's the most profitable, but that is normally how it goes. You kind of start high and then you optimize, you figure out which keywords are working, which ones are not. You have different strategies and ways of tweaking your campaigns, and that's how you start to bring down those numbers. And I think that it can only get better for you from here. So that's like super cool to see how great you started off. And it's awesome to see. Like, it's making me smile, because I feel like for anyone to decide that they want to make a change and they want to do something, and to not only put a plan in place, because it sounds like you have definitely thought about how you're going to make it work, and obviously you have, but you've actually done the work. Like, you didn't plan forever. You didn't sit here and say, oh, one day I'm going to start running ads. You figured, like, I can probably do more if I learn this thing. So let me learn this thing and look at the results that you're getting so quickly after starting. So I think that, and I hope that it's encouraging to everyone in here that you're going to see the most success when you actually do the thing that you keep on thinking about. Just do it.
Yeah.
How are you going to know?
Like you and Jay were saying, I think a big part of it is disciplining yourself, like turning everything off, like turning everything else off, and just be like, okay, I'm not going to do anything else until I figure this out. And you still might not figure it out. But if you don't have that moment with yourself and you're like, I'm not going to do, like, I might not eat today.
You hardcore, brother, because I can't.
But yes, that's how it got for me. It might just be me, but that's how it got for me. I was pretty much like Amazon 24/7 until I figured it out. And I think that's the difference. Like you said with Jay, I think that's the difference between if you're going to be successful in it and if you're not. Are you going to sit there for 24 hours? Because you won't have to do it every day, but you're going to have to do it at least once, maybe twice.
It's a great point that you're your time investment is something that will pay off, but you have to do it. There's just no way around it. It's kind of thinking about if you have like you're in college and you have a 20-page paper due, you're gonna have to, at some point you're gonna have to do it. Like, you can put it off, you can wait until the night before, you can wait until the morning that it's due, but either way you're gonna have to do it. So it's that level of like acceptance and just realizing that the more kind of control you take over it, the less scary it becomes. If you're just nervous and that's fine, that's a natural feeling to have, but you don't let that fear or the ignorance, not in a negative way, like you just literally don't know, you don't let that control you. The best way to overcome it is to actually learn and actually just do it. It'll become less scary when you're looking at products, doing your product research, when you're, in my case, talking to suppliers, maybe in your case, looking up companies to potentially, send them the letter to try to get the contract. Either way, it's something that you have to do, and it's not going to be anywhere near as scary as you think once you actually start to do it. The more you practice, the easier anything becomes. And so I think that, again, and it's just kind of funny to see how different you and Jay are in terms of like what you actually do in the business model, but the similarity that I see is that work ethic. Like, he said something very similar. He was like, okay, when I saw the proof of concept, when I saw that I could actually make money with this, that's when I was like, all in. Let's just do it. Let's put everything behind it and see how far it can take me. And so it's very interesting and similar. One might say maybe it's because you guys are guys, and so next time I'm gonna find a lady to bring on here. I feel like I'm not representation, so it's nice to have kind of like a good balance. But anyone is capable of having the discipline, the motivation, which is really just like a piece of the discipline. Motivation. Anyone can be motivated. Y'all are probably watching this right now like, wow, I'm motivated, but are you disciplined though? Are you actually going to do something with it?
The first time will always be the hardest.
Correct.
The first time will always be the hardest. The second time will be just a little bit easier than the first time. And then the third time, you got it. The third time, you won't even have to think about it the next time you do it. It's just going to be happening.
Real. I completely agree. There was another question that I wanted to ask. Okay, and I think I have just two more things to touch on. I know that we discussed beforehand. I was like, we're going to keep it to an hour. We are an hour and 9 minutes in, so I'm going to try to wrap it up soon.
It's okay. I'm not rushed.
Okay, cool. What I wanted to ask, and again, it's because I know that the people want to know, that dollar amount to get the contract that you have, because I'm sure people are going to think, well, I want to do exactly what he did, which you can't do anything exactly the way that someone else did it. But they're probably wondering, well, how did you have $50K or whatever that big dollar amount was in order to become not ungated, but to get that contract, just so they can understand. Yeah.
I've always done e-commerce, and I've just saved. I've always been a big saver, and I also got into Bitcoin in 2018. So I was a day trader as well. I guess that's where the majority of the funds came from, my day trading. But I had 1 9-to-5 at Best Buy. I also saved most of the money I got from the year working there, which was probably like 20,000. Whenever I do something, I try to take out of a different pot. I try to never take out of my main savings for money. If I want to do something, I act like I just don't have any money and I'm about to have to save up to do it. And I try to, even when I'm doing that, I have my rule is save triple the amount and then see if I still want to do it. Because most of the time after I save triple amount, I don't want the item anymore, or I don't want to do the thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge, if you literally live by that, by the end of a year, you'll have a lot more money than you thought you were even making, probably. I feel like we spend on unnecessary things.
For sure. And I love that you said that, because that is something that I always talk about is, people ask me like, should I take out a credit card? Should I get a loan? Should I do whatever? Like if I want to start and I don't have the money for it. And I mean, I really feel like it's a hot take. Most people who do this say, you're starting a business, just go get the loan or just put it on a credit card. And I have always been of the mind that if you want to do it badly enough, you will save up the money. And that is a better approach than starting a business already in debt. Like to me, that doesn't make sense. And I do have kind of weird kind of mindset around money growing up, not having a lot of it. It's always been to me like if you borrow it, it's gonna be worse for you in the long run because you're gonna owe so much more than what you take out, which honestly is the truth. I know that sometimes it makes sense in certain industries, like if you are starting a restaurant or something, yeah, you're probably gonna have to take out a business loan or whatever. But for something like e-commerce where you're putting yourself already, in my opinion, in a better position than a lot of other businesses just because of how big the internet is. Like you have so much more access to customers 24/7. The least you can do is to save up the money that you need to get started so that you are at least starting at zero and you're not starting in the red. I just like my view on business is that is a smarter approach if you want long-term success. Because if you're it's not cheating per se to take out a loan or put it on a card, but you're putting more of your money on the line than putting your own like effort
money
on the line.
Yeah.
So you're not going to try as hard because it's not your money.
That's a very good point. Like I feel like you don't deserve it necessarily, but you're not going to work as hard with other people's money. You're going to be like, oh, that's the bank's money, whatever. Whereas if it was your money, you'd be like, I saved for this. I kind of want to make sure this works and goes through, which some people might still be able to do it with the bank's money, but just from me personally, I know I'll be like, oh, that's the bank's money, whatever.
Right. Because it has so much to do with like mindset, because the mindset is what's going to drive your discipline. So if you're already looking at it, even if it's subconscious where you're like, it's not really, and that's a terrible way to look at it too, because yes, it's the bank's money, but they're charging you for it. They're not even You're not getting 0% interest. You're borrowing it at a very expensive price. And sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it does not. For me, I don't think it makes sense for an e-commerce business, but I think if you want something badly enough, you will find other ways of making it happen. And I know it might not be glamorous to do Instacart or drive Uber or walk dogs or do whatever it is you have to do to save up the money, but you have to remember that you're doing it as an investment into the future, into a business, into a product, for something that will grow. And you have to just be able to suck it up and look at it that way and really, compartmentalize. This is what I have to do for now. This is not eternal. I'm not going to be even doing this for, you probably have had the job you've hated the most, your worst 9 to 5 ever, and you were able to suck it up and do that because you felt like you had to. So you can suck it up and do what you need to do to save up, whatever it's going to take, for you to get started with this business. So that's cool to see that we kind of have this.
But that ego and that pride aside, do what you got to do to save up your money for your business.
Absolutely. I had to skip happy hours. I actually was living in Atlanta at the time that I started my business too. So my coworkers were going to Papa Do's for happy hour. I couldn't go because I couldn't afford it. But you know what?
Listen.
Here we are.
Now, look at you now. Look at you now. You might buy the Papa Do's. You should go back and buy the Papa Do's.
Hello. Like, remember me? They're going to be like, no, man, we don't. If I were to go back to Atlanta, I would buy a juicy crab for me to eat for free. Okay, that would be my sole motivation.
Really?
I love juicy crab. I miss it so much. Last year, I caught a flight to go to Atlanta just to have juicy crab. I'm not kidding.
Just to have juicy crab.
It was worth it. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
I'm
Juicy
not gonna
crab
lie.
has really made the rounds. Everybody loves juicy crab,
It's
and
so
there's one
bomb.
in every city.
I feel like
I've never had it.
you live in
I
Atlanta
sat
and
in
you've
front
never
of it
had
a
juicy
lot of
crab.
times and judged the people that were walking into it while I was getting my American deli, but I've never been inside.
You're scaring me. You need to go to Juicy Crab tomorrow. It's so good. If you like seafood. If you don't like seafood, of course you're not gonna like it. But
Yeah, I like seafood. I'm not like a seafood fanatic, but I can definitely eat some seafood for sure.
I'm gonna get you together. I'm gonna tell you the best juicy crab to go to. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay,
I got you.
for sure. Because I think that's what it is. I'm so scared of just food experiences around here, period, that I don't know. I'm
Atlanta
scared of trying
has the
new
best
places.
well, I won't say the best seafood, but the best seafood boil and the best wings. And I miss it. But we're
Have
not
you
gonna
ever
talk
had
about
First
it.
Watch? Have you ever had First Watch, the breakfast place?
No.
Yeah, we have to talk after
Yeah,
this. First Watch
we'll
is
exchange best restaurants in Atlanta.
okay.
Okay. I don't know that I have anything else except to just say how happy I am for you. I know that we don't know each other that well yet, but YouTube somehow connected us to each other, and it's just really been insightful even for me to kind of hear about how you have been able to work the business and find your own way of doing it in the way that makes the most sense for you. And I'm hoping and praying that things continue to just go as well as they are, if not better. I think that you're really kind of coming up on that snowball that I feel like every business person can look back and kind of see where the momentum like really picked up. And it's just, it's going to take off from here. I mean, it already has. 9 days, 40K. We love to see it. So I'm very, very happy for you, and just, proud and in a weird
That's
kind
one
of way.
thing. I don't think I ever clarified how much of it was profit. We did, right?
You
For
said
every, I think I did. Yeah, every 10 cents I spend, I make $1.
right, and that's including the cost of your product itself.
Yes.
Okay, so
if I sell something for $2, it costs me 20 cents to get. Or if I'm making $2, because Amazon takes their cut as well. I try to break it up to where me and Amazon are making the same amount, but I'm still making my 200%.
Okay, so in the sense of 40K, well, it would be 50K in the last. You have a 10%. No, you have a 90% profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad at math. I don't know what 90% of 40K is. Probably.
No, I think it might. No, I am too. I'm horrible at math. Like, it's embarrassing. But I think it might be like because I think it's like 1,000. I looked it up on Google because that's how bad I am at math, and it says something crazy like 2,000% profit because it's 10 cents. So if I was spending $1 and then making $10, then I would be getting 100. I think that's 1,000 or 100, right?
Yeah, I was talking profit, like the margin of it. So it would be 90% of the revenue is what you're making, and it's like the ACoS versus ROAS. Like you're looking at it kind of the backwards way.
Okay, yeah.
It's the same thing, just like different perspective on looking at it. And you'll know for sure once you get your payouts from Amazon as well. So obviously it's been, I don't know if you've already been paid out any portion of this like bigger chunk, but obviously like at the end of the month you'll. Oh,
and it's been killing me waiting for it because I've done the manual payout twice, but I'm about to just wait for it now because every time I do the manual payout, it pushes the date back, and I didn't even notice that at first.
Right. So, and just so you guys know too, when you're going to get a direct deposit from Amazon, if you go into your account, you can kind of see the breakdown of what they're taking, the ads, like where basically all the money has been allocated and spent, and then they give you a dollar amount that you're going to make in the payout. Does it say what you're going to make in this next direct deposit chunk?
see. Pricing. Oh,
It's no big deal if you can. I was just curious because.
No, I can get it. It's just for some reason making me sign in again.
So just kind of to wrap up before he shows us or tells us how much that payout is going to be. Once again, this is different from what I do. He's doing wholesale. I do private label. And the point of this was to just show you his way of doing it, but still selling on Amazon and kind of utilizing FBA to maximize and be able to scale, which obviously has been, you know, a really good result so far for Jaylen.
Okay. So for, here it is, total balance.
Okay. 40K. We see it.
And that will be for April and March. Yeah, that's a mix between April and March because since I did the manual payout,
yeah, like staggered it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, I love it for you. I know that you're gonna put it to good use, and I know that your scale is just gonna continue to grow. I'm excited. We're definitely gonna have to keep in touch, and I need to see and hear how things are going. Even like by the middle of the year, we just got started with Q2, so I think your numbers are going to be incredible.
I can't wait till Q4 because, I mean, well, I don't think what I'm selling, it really goes up in Q4 because it's not like people gift those, but.
Even if it isn't giftable, just like the sheer traffic alone, I think you'll see bigger numbers. But it'll really depend, and it can be a little bit tricky as far as like inventory management. Obviously, it's different for you with wholesale, but and as time goes on, you'll get a better idea of how much you're selling. Because right now, for you to try to guess what you're going to need for Q4, you literally cannot. You don't know what's going to happen between now and then. But I do think probably by like July, August, you'll have a much better kind of grasp, and you'll definitely need to prepare accordingly because every like personal record I've broken in terms of like revenue has always happened in Q4. I've never had a bigger month than, I think one month it was November, but normally it's December. Even with Amazon Prime Day, those have been some of my biggest days in terms of sales, but it's just like that's 1 or 2 days compared to what you get all of December and like the majority of November too. So you have a lot to look forward to.
Yes, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for.
I appreciate you for having me on the platform. I appreciate you for just sharing all the knowledge that you share. And like you said, you're one of the few that I know, one of the few women that have actually trailblazed this Amazon FBA mentorship, just whole thing, because I haven't even seen anyone else do any one of us do a mentorship for free, or not even for free. You give information for free, and then you also have the mentorship. So I just want to give you your flowers for that as well, and say I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I love to talk about this stuff, and it's a blessing for me too. So I'm just like really happy that so many people are even interested in this, and to be able to be a little bit of representation. I feel like that's what you've done today as well, is to just show another face. So I couldn't be happier. Thank you so much for coming on and kind of talking to me and talking to everyone else. Hopefully this was helpful. And who knows, maybe we'll do a little bit of a follow-up at the end of the year or something. We might be able to reconnect and kind of let everyone know how things have gone for you. But besides that, it's been wonderful. Thanks so much, Jaylen. And
thank you so much as well.
Of course. And just to kind of wrap up the video, thank you guys for watching our interview, this little kind of candid conversation about Amazon FBA. And whatever questions you all have, go ahead and put them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys in the next video.